Buenos noches, people of the internet. It's your friendly friend, James. Your friendly friend. That makes a lot of sense. I speak really good words and stuff. Welcome back to the Death Metal Disco podcast. I am your friendly friend. The friend that you have to warn your other friends that I may offend them, friend. And I'm okay with that. Most of the time. Sometimes I take it a little personally. Usually not, though, because I totally get it. I say shit without really thinking it. It just kind of happens. The filter is fucky. We'll just go ahead and say fucky. And sometimes it gets me into trouble, both in the friendly world and the professional world. Most of the time, I don't give a shit, though. It's totally okay. Generally, if people can't hang with it, then I didn't want to hang with them anyway. And that's how I roll. I've been sitting here at this desk for like 10 minutes fiddling with the cord to my headphones, and it's a very long cord. It's probably about 10 feet long, and that's the fucking cord it came with, and it's been coiled up and wrapped around the headphones a whole bunch and unwrapped, and so it's all twisted, and it was choking me, and I'm not into being choked in that way. So I've been fucking with that for a while. I finally defeated it, and now I can carry on with my life, which involves this podcast. I wanted to record this podcast a couple days ago, but it just didn't happen. Couldn't get my head in the game, as you know, that happens from time to time. And I'm still not even sure what I'm going to talk about. And by this point, you should be accustomed to me not knowing what I'm going to talk about till I start talking. And now that I've started talking, I'm getting ideas. I have been actually kind of busy, though, with the day job, which is picking up, as I knew it would after the new year. We had a lot of project work that ended up getting pushed due to the Rona and various other things. So this work week, I was working at home, was actually totally, it wasn't totally boring, which was good. Kept me reasonably busy with meetings and stuff and follow-up emails, lots of emails, so many emails. Oh my God. But, that's fine. I'll take it. Better than not working, I guess. And until I either win the lottery or, make voiceover happen the way I need to, the day job is where it's at. And I'm not acting like it's not where it's at. I just, one of these days, things are going to go the way I dream they do, as opposed to me just constantly dreaming them. Anyway, I have been keeping busy. Yesterday, which would be Saturday, I went over to some friend's house to help them. They are putting together a podcast of their own. They decided that because they're super nerds, in the most loving way possible, that they're going to start a podcast about books. And they already read a ton. They read more than most people I know. And they also talk a lot and loudly sometimes. But, that's why I like hanging out with them, because they're crazy. So anyway, I went and helped them, not setting anything up, but helping them order equipment and kind of show them how to connect it when they do get it and what and why. And that was cool. It was nice to be able to offer things that I have learned over the years as far as equipment for voiceover, equipment for recording, and then most recently equipment for podcasting stuff. It was nice to impart my knowledge onto them, and hopefully I gave them good knowledge, good wisdom. So Katie and Kimmy, good luck. Anyway, Katie and Kimmy, my friends, and with the help of their lovely assistant, Lindsay, feels weird to call her Lindsay, I always call her by her maiden name, they started a podcast, and it's supposed to go live next month, and it's called The Lost Chill, and it'll basically be like a book club, in podcast form. So if you're a fan of literature and shenanigans, I would expect that it's going to be right up your alley. I intend to listen to it, if nothing else, just to hear these two go back and forth, because they're crazy in the good way, and I like them, and that's cool. And they also bought me sushi for lunch yesterday, which was really good, because I haven't had sushi in a long time, at least, not legit sushi. I had sushi from the store actually last week, and it was good too, but this sushi is always better. Fontana Sushi, Aurora, Colorado. Not sponsored. And speaking of friends doing podcasts, I also was hired to help with another podcast that is getting started here very soon. I don't know when they're actually going to kick off, but my friend Richie and his wife, I believe his wife is helping, they are starting a podcast called The Power in You. And it's going to be about self-help and, self-improvement, betterment, all that good stuff, mental health awareness, that type of stuff. And knowing how well versed both of them are on the subject matter, as far as, taking care of yourself and your own mental health and improving things in your own life, I think it'll be a very, very good, insightful, and informative podcast. And they hired me to help out with some intro voiceover, a couple other voiceover parts, and I was honored to do it. So that's good. I'm liking that people are asking me to do things and that I can do them and help out where I'm able. And that's something I've learned just getting my feet wet into the voiceover world and even the podcasting world, is that people are very willing to help you based on their own experience and what they've learned and gleaned from different things. And if you don't pass that on and pay it forward, it's kind of like, you're screwing people over. Like, maybe not intentionally, but you don't feel obligated to help. You want to help. Like, their podcast is not going to compete with my podcast and vice versa. And podcasts are not about competition. Podcasts are about getting your shit out there for people to listen to. And if they like it, excellent. Excellent. So then I also had practice today. And practice went really well. We're working on new material. Empyrean Eclipse is my band. If you have not, I don't even know if I've actually said the name of the band on the podcast so far. I've talked about my first band. But Empyrean Eclipse, the band I'm in now, been for the last 10 years. We are working pretty hard as a group of 3 that can get together weekly, once a week for a few hours and work on stuff. We're making some progress on our new shit, and I'm excited for it. I haven't been excited for stuff that we've done for quite a long time. And we actually have been mulling over doing a cover song or two, and we would talk about it, and I'd get really excited about the songs that we discussed, and then we would never get around to doing anything with them. Finally, we have made some progress on one of the songs. It's just one of the songs, but it's one that I really, really want to do. I'm not going to say what it is right now, but it's a badass song, and if we can do the original any kind of justice, I think we will have succeeded. I still got to look into see about recording, because if we can record sometime this year, even just a few songs, put an EP out, but include this here cover song, that'll make my heart happy. And since chances are good of us doing any shows are slim between the Rona and just staffing, because Derek lives in California and our bass player, we don't really have a quote-unquote full-time bass player. We got 2 people that have been filling in, helping us out, and one lives in New Mexico, and the other one, he lives here, but sometimes he doesn't communicate with us. So, whatever, but we'll figure that shit out. But if we can record in lieu of playing shows, that'll make me happy, even if it's just 3 or 4 song EP or something. That's cool. But I was glad we made progress on the cover song today. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna inspire people to mosh, maybe, or headbang, maybe, or even just clap aggressively, because aggressive clapping is the only kind of clapping that I really approve of, and the golf clap, but mostly the aggressive clapping. The more aggressive the clapping, the happier I am as a human being. And me being a human is up for debate, but my hospital stay last year, almost a year ago now, reminds me that I am human, which is dumb. But I digress. So you've been listening to me ramble on for quite some time about this, that, and the other. So allow me to ramble on briefly about how I operate this podcast. There's lots of options for how you want to post and host your podcast and put it out into the world. I did a lot of research on mine, and for me, I decided to go with Anchor.fm.
If you haven't heard of Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's free. That was a big selling point to me. Free is good. I like free. There's also tools for creation to help you record and edit your podcast from your phone or your computer or your tablet or whatever you're using. I find that to be effective. So we got free, we got recording and editing, both big deals, because they are. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you. So it can be heard on Spotify, it could be heard on Apple Podcasts, it could be heard on Google Podcasts, and many, many more. That is a huge time saver because I don't have to go to each of those things to upload. So I like that distribution right then and there. And again, it's free. You can make money from your podcast if you're into that kind of thing with no minimum listenership. That could be cool. I think you should try it. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So if you've been on the fence about making a podcast and the only thing holding you back is how you want to host it or create it or whatever, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's worth it.
Okay, so I have gone on a bit of a tangent about podcasts and friends and people doing things and, making more for themselves, and I have lost my train of thought. So I'm going to have a drink here of this Gentleman Jack Daniels that I got from a friend a few months ago when they came to, they technically went to Wyoming, to Cheyenne, and then I met them up in Fort Collins for dinner, and they had a unfinished bottle of Gentleman Jack that they would not be able to finish before they had to fly home, and they gave it to me. So now I'm having some of that with some Coke Zero. Not sponsored. This is just the Coke Zero part, though, because I haven't refilled my glass. So maybe after I'm done recording. Drunkenly editing is probably really good times. So one thing I've actually been meaning to bring up since I started this podcast, and I keep forgetting because other stuff kind of pops into my mind, and I go with that instead, is video games, whether it's PC games or console games on Xbox, PS5, what have you, or even just cell phone games. I've never been much of a quote-unquote gamer. Growing up, we did not have money to afford consoles, and so I didn't have a Nintendo at home or the original PlayStation, or I think we got like a hand-me-down Atari at some point in time, but I don't even remember that really. And any other games I played were usually at friends' houses who maybe did have the consoles or, the old Commodore 64 machines, and play some games there. The occasional computer game like Oregon Trail and whatever, those were cool, but, video games was kind of where it's at, right? So when we got to a point where, we could rent a console like Super NES, bring that home for a weekend, and my sister and I, and maybe my mom would join in, and we'd play like fucking Super Mario Kart. That shit was bomb. That was good times. But anyway, I never really played video games all that much. I had the original Xbox. I had the Xbox 360. I currently have the Xbox One. I don't know that I'll upgrade and get the PS5 or the Xbox Series X. I even built what you would call a gaming PC back in May, and it's still missing a graphics card. I have an Intel chip, so I got graphics, but I want the new NVIDIA 3070 or 3080 card, and can't find those to save your lives because everybody in the fucking world is building their own computers. I might play video games more on the PC once I get that sorted out, but for right now I play what I can, but I don't really play a lot, and I don't really play just to play the games. With everything that's gone down in 2020, I started playing almost nightly once I got out of the hospital. And I've always used a headset with a microphone to listen, not necessarily to listen to the chat or to listen to people, be morons, because there's a lot of people who just get on there to talk shit, and that's all they do. That's all they care about, and I don't care about that. But to listen to sounds like I play Call of Duty. The Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered is, I think, one of maybe 3 or 4 games I've bought, and that's the one I play the most. I like it. first-person shooter games are what I do like the most, and it's a good time. It takes me back to 2007, 2008 when it first came out. My sister was always playing it, and she talked me into playing it, and I liked it. So now I like it still, and it's cool. But the reason I bring it up has nothing to do with actually playing the game. Since last year, March-ish, February, when I got home and I didn't feel so miserable all the time. Once everything started going to lockdown, I started playing it almost nightly, and using the headset, you start to hear voices, you start to see a lot of the same gamer tags in games, and depending on what time you're playing, you start to play with a lot of the same people. Well, eventually they start talking, even if it's just calling out where their shots came from, where they got killed from, blah, blah, blah. And then I started talking, and now some of the best nights I've had this year have been just sitting in my living room, sitting on my couch, and playing Call of Duty with people that I'll likely never meet. Maybe haven't even seen their pictures. And I've had some very entertaining conversations with some of them. In fact, just 2 nights ago, there was a group of us. I think there were 5 of us in our team. And the conversation was absolutely absurd. And I won't repeat it because there may be children listening to this. And it's definitely one of those conversations that, although it's right up my alley as far as humor goes, is not what you would call, quote unquote, appropriate for the masses. But we played, and all of us, I mean, my ribs hurt from laughing so hard. We were playing half the game with our eyes closed because we were crying. We were laughing so damn hard, and it was fantastic. And with the lack of ability to go out and socially interact with your friends or with, even just acquaintances, due to everything being closed and no shows, nothing like that, it's kind of nice to have that personal touch, if you will. And it makes me happy. Like, it's something I look forward to. Like, if I get on and one of the guys I play with, his name is Passerby. That's his gamer tag, Passerby42. If he's not on, I actually get kind of sad because he and I get along great. He's a funny guy. He's older than me by about 17 years. Smart. He's witty. He's sarcastic, which is kind of what I am also about in life. And we get along great. And to top it off, we play for fun. Like, yeah, it sucks when you get destroyed all the time because I am remarkably average. For as long as I've been playing this damn game, I'm not a ninja. Like, I don't make no bones about it. I do not do well most of the time. My kill-death ratio is maybe half, not even 1, because I'm all about balance, And he does good. He's ranked up. He's super, super high ranked, but it's because he's playing forever. And he's better than me, but he also thinks things through a little bit more than I do. And then there's other people. I got a friend who I've met. I haven't actually met her, but she lives outside of Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, for those people who are not geographically savvy. Got a couple of people that I play with regularly in Massachusetts and Florida. One lives in Oregon somewhere, and a couple live in Albuquerque. And you find out where all these people from, and you find out how close you may or may not be to somebody, and you're like, whoa, that's crazy. Like the dude in Albuquerque, we talked about some of the same restaurants and some of this. Like, I know where he lives, not because he gave me his address, but he told me what area of Albuquerque he lives in. I said, oh, I know exactly where that's at, because with all my work travel, I'm sort of familiar with that. And it's just nice to have that. So though I don't consider myself a gamer, I do enjoy playing the video games. I enjoy playing the games themselves, depending on the game. I'm not much into the RPG games, and I've never played World of Warcraft, so I can't really tell you that I like it or not, but it doesn't visually hold much appeal to me. I did download Fortnite a few weeks ago, and tried to play some of that, and I don't know that I can get into it, but I haven't really picked it back up. I did, one of the guys I play Xbox with, he does streaming. I watched his stream. Yeah, the video quality on his stream is not very good, but he's streaming straight from his Xbox, so it's kind of to be expected, I guess, from what I understand. But he does it just for entertaining people, and he plays a lot. He's very, very good. He plays a lot of different games. and he streams just for the fun of streaming. And that's cool. Told him I started a podcast. He said, that's cool. So I checked out his stream. He checked out the podcast. One of my ex-girlfriends, she started streaming a while ago. And the whole idea of her stream originally that she told me was she is all about anti-bullying campaigns, specifically to bullying online, the bullying of children. And so she started this thing on Twitch to sort of talk about, how to be less of an asshole, I guess, or I don't know exactly what the theme was supposed to be. I've checked out her stream a couple times, and she plays a lot of Fortnite, and apparently that game Among Us, which I only learned about due to the imposter memes. I still haven't played the game, so I can't really speak to the game at all, but she's got a lot of people on her stream. She's almost 1,000 followers, I think, last time I saw her post on the Twitter about it. So if you're into, watching streams of people playing games, or if you play Fortnite or Among Us and need somebody to play with, look for the Mad Kitten. It's all one word, and I don't think there's an E in the kitten part. It's just TheMadKTTN, KITTN maybe. I'm not looking at it, so look for the Mad Kitten, and she's on there. She's cool. Her stream is pretty good. Really good video quality, that's for sure. And, check it out. Now I'm just pimping out everybody I know. I'm not getting paid for any of these, by the way. Just doing it because that's the kind of person I am. You got something cool? I'm going to talk about it. And so back to my original statement about the video games is it's been nice to interact with humans without having to type things. You don't have to infer your own emotions into something you read via text message or email or chat room or any of that crap. And you don't have to be on the phone. Talking on the phone seems like a thing that nobody likes to do anymore. Some of us older folk, because I'm ancient, basically, we do like to talk on the phone from time to time with people that we actually care enough to talk on the phone with. But playing the video games and using your headset and actually communicating with people, even if you're just talking strictly about the game, just having that human interaction, generally is pretty cool. And it's good to have in the times where everything's fucked up and stuff is closed and shows don't exist and yada, yada, yada. You can still go do a lot of stuff, but it's a little more difficult than it used to be. It'd be hard for me to get together with people and just on a whim say, hey, let's go bowling. Have to check and make sure the fucking bowling alley is open, what their restrictions are. Can you stick your fingers in the balls? Euphemism intended. I haven't looked into bowling, but it's just one of those things. It's a different world right now, and playing video games is an outlet as well as a way to interact socially with people. And most of the time the interactions are good, but sometimes people turn into fucktards. And especially since Call of Duty attracts a lot of people who are military or former military, and not to pigeonhole or stereotype, but a lot of those people are very political, and sometimes the conversations about politics can get crazy out of hand and tempers can flare, which is fucked up when it's a fucking video game. Sometimes people say things that are absolutely horrific and completely offensive, and that's a bummer, but for the most part, it's been good. So if you sometimes play video games and you haven't tried chatting with some of the people that are on there, you should maybe check it out. And if that's something you're interested in, if you play Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered on Xbox, I think it does work on Xbox Series X too, so the new Xbox, and you're on there, find me, Angel of Death, ANGLEVDETH, all one word. Hit me up, play with you, talk to you. I might be talking to a group of people. My voice might sound similar to this. Weird, right? Anyway, so that's my tangent about video games. And finally, to wrap up this episode, I'm not going to keep it very long. I have a lot of planning for future episodes that I want to do. I do have 2 guests. 2 people have volunteered to come onto the show. And I have yet to figure out when we're going to make that happen and what exactly we'll be talking about. One of them is Kimmy from one of the podcasts I mentioned earlier, The Lost Chill. She volunteered to come onto the show, so we'll figure out what we're going to talk about and when we can do it, and we'll get her on. She's hilarious. Katie will probably also be on the show for that. Might even be the same episode, because they're a hoot. And talking to them and talking to my friends is, that's cool. I know a lot of people, and a lot of them entertain the shit out of me just by talking. And that's cool. That's kind of the idea of a podcast. The other guest, I'm not going to announce yet. I got to work out with him. He's only in town for a month. He's a very, very busy musician. I'll give you that hint. And he currently lives in another country, but he's in town working on some stuff for his musical projects. He's got two big ones that he's working with, and I'm not talking about his balls. I haven't seen his balls. They might be reasonably sized. They might be huge. I don't know. Anyway, he's in town for a month working on stuff like that. I go out of town, not this week, but the week after, and then the week after that, I'm out of town for work. And he's only here for a month, so I got to figure out if we can make something happen on a weekend for a couple hours, get him in here, and you guys will probably like that episode a lot. He's an incredibly talented musician, and as soon as I feel comfortable announcing him, I will, and you guys will be like, yay! And I'll be like, yeah. And he'll be like, okay, because that's how we go. And it'll be good times. So anyway, look forward to that. That'll be a big thing. I just want to say thank you to everybody who has listened to the podcast on whichever platform you're listening to it on. I really, truly appreciate it. Last time I looked at the stats, not counting YouTube, because it's up on YouTube too, not counting YouTube, the last time I looked at the stats, it was at 229 plays total, and that's across 6 full episodes, scratch that, 5 full episodes, and the introduction, the 5-minute intro thing I posted back in November, but 5 full episodes, and I'm at 229 plays total, and I don't know, I'm sure there's podcasts that blow that out of the water in their first 5 episodes, but that makes me feel really good. I just crossed that 200 threshold just sometime at the end of last week, and it blows my mind that I know that many people who actually listen to it. Not like I'm doing any groundbreaking discussion on this thing, but, thank you. Thank you for the support. I really, really do appreciate it. Yeah. If I could high five you, I probably wouldn't, because if you know me, you know I don't really like high fives. But I'd hug you, because I'm a hugger. Maybe I just crave physical touch. I don't know. Anyway, I really do appreciate you listening. If you've shared the podcast, thank you for that. If you haven't shared the podcast, share it. It's not going to hurt you. I'm not going to hurt you. I might even pinch your nipples just to say thank you. That's the kind of guy I am. The gratuitous nipple pitcher. The gratuitous nipple pincher. And not gratuitous as in excessive, just gratuitous as in thankful, grateful. Whatever, I don't know. Something about nipples. Anyway, thanks for listening. Death Metal Disco Podcast. Hit us up on Twitter at Death Disco Pod or on Facebook. Let me know your thoughts, because I'd like to hear what you're thinking. Again, if you want to be a guest on the show, we can get that sorted out. Hit me up. We'll figure out when and figure out what the fuck we're going to talk about. We could just sit and talk about life. We'd say, hey, how are you? How's the family? Or we could talk about serious shit. I don't want to talk about super serious shit. Hashtag DC this last week. But, we'll talk about whatever. Anyway, I love you all. I thank you all. And I will check you on the next episode. Be safe.